Bada bing, bada boom. And I think that we are live for episode 5.
Ooh, already 5. That's awesome.
We're rhyming already. It's only been a few seconds. Of the Grind Mastermind for March the 17th, 2023. Chris, how the heck are you doing?
Before I start, I have to say it, man.
Oh boy.
Let's grind it out.
I love it.
It's becoming our sketch.
I think
Guys,
it's your
anyone who
sketch.
can.
I love
Yeah,
the
it's my
line though.
sketch. Let's grind it out.
You got to add the man. Let's grind it out, man. I like
Let's
that.
grind it out, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Episode 5. If you're live with us on YouTube, feel free to chime in the chat. If you're listening or watching on YouTube or on a podcast after the fact, thank you for tuning in. We check in every 2 weeks to share our journey growing our very different businesses, which I think is part of why it's kind of cool, because if we were building like the same thing, wouldn't get the same flavor, you know? But anyways,
Exactly.
we each spend about 10 minutes doing an update, then we shoot the shit talking about random resources and books. So anyways, without further ado, Chris, do you want to, let me pull up our goals for this week. Do you want to give a quick update on how the last 2 weeks went? And the goals I have here were learn about and plan strategy for Facebook ads and build the landing page.
Yeah, cool. So, just a bit of a background for those folks who don't know the full context. So, basically, aside from my business, I'm also experimenting with kind of a information product side of things. So this is basically for me a test to see whether or not my product idea, which is so far is just a simple ebook packed with ton of value that I want to try and promote to e-commerce business owners. I'm basically building the whole funnel that will promote the book and also some other products on the back end, which can be courses or my services. And the way that I'm doing it, I'm actually starting this out by testing the idea. So I still have to build the actual book, but I wrote the outline, the sales page, which was one of my goals for today.
Oh, you
So I
don't have the
finished
book
the.
written yet. That's funny. I
No,
like it.
no.
Okay, because I reviewed the landing. Anyways, we'll talk about the landing
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, so I built the whole landing sales page. It's kind of like a long form sales page, and I've been following this whole model called automatic clients model. If you're not subscribed or don't know that, check out the Nothing Held Back group on Facebook. They have a lot of stuff, including this model. And so the sales page is done. And next step was to actually try and set up Facebook ads. I've never ran Facebook ads, so for me that was totally new. I I was just able to dip my toes in it. I've actually set up the Facebook ad like manager platform. I started creating an ad, but I wanted to wait before all the assets and the images and the visuals were ready for the sales page so that I can basically repurpose them. But I also wrote the actual Facebook ad that people are gonna see, so that's done. I
Nice.
just need I just need to basically yeah, finish the actual setup, select the targeting, and to do that, I set some time today and on the weekend to actually learn more about that. I'll check out some videos on YouTube. There's a lot of free stuff that I think anyone can learn nowadays without even paying for a course. So just go on YouTube, you find 40-minute plus videos teaching you how to do that.
How did you find it as a first time user for? Because I'm sure there's probably some people listening who are thinking about or wanting to get into Facebook ads. Was
Yeah,
it tough?
still
Was it intimidating?
no, no, not really. I mean, the most technical thing that you have to do is just installing the Facebook Pixel, which is basically just adding some HTML code to your website. But it's super guided. I was actually surprised how well Facebook guides you now with this like completely step-by-step process that they guide you with tutorials, and each step it's backed up by like an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super super easy, super intuitive. The only thing that I still have to understand and figure out, it's there's a bit of a mess, confusion between the Facebook Ads Manager, and then you can access to another page through your business Facebook page. So I still have to understand how that works
Just
because I can
use
access.
the ads manager, because I think so. I haven't done this in a few years, but what you can run through the Facebook page is basically like a dumbed down basic version, and you don't get the
Mm,
full suite. So I recommend, and I remember reading this again. This is like 3 years ago, maybe
mm.
2 3 years ago. Always using the ads manager because that's the full feature set.
Okay. Yeah, and in any case, like you'll see as soon as you start looking into this stuff, like for example, I watched this YouTube video which is like 6 months old, and I went into the platform and things are already changed. So they are constantly testing stuff, changing, moving things around. So yeah, I mean, you at some point you kind of have to figure it out on your own. But as
Yeah.
I said, it's pretty guided, so not too
Okay.
bad.
So let's put in here. So what would the goal be? Kind of like finish up the ads, and do you want to start running them within the next 2 weeks?
Yes, yeah, I'll
Okay.
probably run them.
Finish Facebook ads and run first test, we can call it.
Yeah, yeah. First test would be the only parameters that I set for a test would be at least 1 week, so cover every
Test
day of the week just to cover the patterns and trends.
for
And
at
I
least
gave
7
myself a
days.
budget of $500, like $100 a day, but I would probably start lower, maybe like $20 to see how it goes, and maybe refine the targeting. Yeah,
Yeah,
something that
I
I
wouldn't
still
start at
have to
100
use.
a day. I would definitely start at like you can eat like you can technically do 50 cents a day if you want, right? I would probably do five if you're especially how many ads do you think you're going to test?
Right now, I only have the copy for one. I could create a shorter one, so I have a longer and shorter version.
I would test at least two visuals minimum.
Okay, with the visuals, yeah.
Yeah. You can even keep the same copy and switch to visuals. But I
Hmm.
would test at least 3 to 4 ads personally, and like throw
Yeah,
five
yeah,
bucks at each per day. You'll see within 2 days. That's the beauty of it, man. Like you'll see within one day's probably not long enough, but like you'll see within 2 to 3 days which ads are performing better. Right? That's
yeah.
the
As
crazy
far as
thing.
far as as far as visuals, what would you recommend? Because right now my visual, like from what they recommend on in that course that I followed, their model, they basically just have the cover of the book and kind of the retro of the book. So the cover gives you like the title and everything. The rear of the book is kind of like the description, kind of like a semi-persuasive introduction. What would you test otherwise? Would you test maybe a photo of myself pointing at the book or something, or
Yeah,
what?
I would do one of the book, one with you in it, especially maybe with the book. That's a good idea. And then I don't know, pick something random like
Maybe okay, I could actually test maybe a
yeah, like
testimonial
it's
with
an art, right? It's an art, not a science. With
Mm,
well, some of it's science, but with ads, the visuals are an art, right? Throw a whole bunch at the wall and see what sticks. Because you never know,
right.
right? And you even read this from the greats, like the Frank Kerns and stuff, who spend millions on ads. They all recommend doing heavy testing because you have no idea which visual is going to perform the best or why. So
Mm,
I would probably pick like, if I were you, I would probably pick, and this could probably go for most people testing early on Facebook. I would pick like probably 3 to 4 visuals and like 2 to 3 market segments and test every combination, right?
mm,
And throw 5 bucks a day or 7 or 10 bucks a day at each. And then after 2 3 days, just turn off the ones that are performing the worst, and or
yeah,
take the ones that are performing the worst and put in a new visual and see how that performs, right? Because you
yeah,
can
yeah,
see
yeah.
all the data, right? CPC, CPM, everything. You could also actually, you know what you should test? You should test a video as well. You should record a 30-second video, maybe even two. Hey, I'm Chris. If you're looking to do this, blah, I have this new ebook. It's only $5 to learn more. Click here, right? Because videos typically outperform visuals. Well, photos, still visuals. So that's what
Do you have an idea of the length of the video?
Short, like within 60 seconds. Probably shorter. Yeah. Like number one, what's the problem? Right. Hey, are you struggling to get more conversions on your e-com website? My name is Chris. I'm a conversion copywriter, and I have this amazing ebook. It's only $5, and to learn more and help solve big problem, click here to learn more.
And are the videos typically landscape or
iPhone,
vertical?
Man. Yeah, you use your iPhone. The key with Facebook ads is to stop the scroll, right? And to stop the scroll, you don't want to look like an ad. You want to look like you're one of their friends posting on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So, and then you could test another one that's like, hey, e-commerce people, last year I helped this company go from blah, 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 blah by making a few simple changes. If you want to learn more, check out the ebook at the page here. I don't know. Think of like two or three, 30-second scripts. And there's a reason we see a lot of those, right? On TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts, all those ads. Anyways, all you can do is test. ABT, right? Always be testing.
Cool.
Okay, on the landing page side, you got that done?
Yep. I actually made that change that you recommended.
Oh,
so
baby.
I moved that part under the FAQ. So kind of basically just answers a question for the people who don't know. Basically, I went a bit too deep into explaining like the behind the scenes of how the ebook works. Maybe people weren't expecting that kind of information, which was additional costs involved in implementing the changes. So what basically Josh pointed out, and I decided to basically put it as a question and answer under the FAQ section rather than in the copy of the homepage. So it doesn't surprise people, and it's just like a direct explanation of a question. I think it works better.
Yeah, and just for background, because obviously nobody here has seen the landing page yet. So Chris sent me the landing page to review, and there was one part where you were kind of like price anchoring. So you were talking about the costs of working with a regular contractor or company, and then the costs of just buying his ebook. But then you were listing a whole bunch of these other like software fees that might apply. And what I was saying was, when I'm signing out for whether it's like a free ebook by email or a $5 ebook, I don't really want to be intimidated by like all these other potential costs. Maybe they actually do apply, but really they're optional, right? A lot of them are optional anyways. So I didn't want to like scare readers away from thinking, oh, there's all these other costs. So anyways, Chris moved it down under an FAQ, which I think makes more sense. So okay, so any other on your end? So we have finished Facebook ads and run the first test for at least 7 days. Any other goals for the next 2 weeks?
No, apart from goals, this is pretty much it, especially because I'm pretty packed right now with client work. Just signed 4 clients, and I might sign a new one for May, so it's going pretty well, but at the same time I'm super busy. Right. But there's another thing, and this is why I would actually love to add a new segment into these kind of presentations that we do. So after we talked about the goals, I would talk about one thing that we are excited for going into the next 2 weeks.
We keep adding these segments, man. We're going to have to double the show length.
It's going to be a quick one. For me, as long as you prepare it or have it in mind before for me, because I have it super fresh right now, it's I've been starting to use and actually paid for the plus version of ChatGPT.
Oh, nice.
And I'm super excited, man, because it fits exactly into my business model, which has always been like staying lean, staying agile, not hiring a huge team. So right now it's just me and my VA. And I've started using ChatGPT, which now GPT-4 came out. But I've started using it on client project, and it's amazing. So especially for research stuff, it can shortcut the time that you take to collect data and kind of organize it, summarize it. So it's kind of like having a junior copywriter basically helping you out, and I'm saving all the prompts that I give it. So for next times, I'm basically going to be even faster. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that and seeing how that develops and how I can implement into more of my stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so good for businesses, especially ones that are small and trying to stay small and keep costs down. We use it for our immigration platform. We integrated with it with three
The API.
Through the API. Apparently, the API for GPT-4 is not out yet, but we're on the wait list. So, anyways, it's crazy. It's changing the world, right? It's changing the world as we know it. So, okay. So goals for next week: finish Facebook ads and run the test. And excited about ChatGPT-4. Awesome. Okay, we're 15 minutes in. I think we need 15 minutes roughly each, and then we'll spend 10 minutes on the at the end.
Yeah.
So my goals were continue cold outreach, finalize the join page on the SG site, and pick first growth strategy. Okay, so first on the cold outreach, it's been pretty good. The only change is just been targeting a different country now. So doing cold outreach instead of inside Canada where I'm based to overseas. So I've done a good job, especially in the last week, of doing cold outreach. The problem is because of the time zones, I have to wake up early, and I'm doing like 2 to 3 hours in the morning. So cold calling in the morning, mostly over WhatsApp. And it's going pretty well. So I'm happy to say that that's going well in terms of the cold call and continuing to book. Like, the interesting thing about cold calling is it still is super powerful, right? If you have a good offer and you're able to like quite efficiently get a good list of targets, then it's a numbers game, right? And because there's so much cold email and phone call, I think it actually kind of surprises people a little bit to get cold calls because it's becoming maybe more rare. And so when you get the right people on the phone, it's like pretty good. So overall good.
Are you still sticking with the number of calls that you set for yourself?
It's actually been higher because I think it's probably a good number. I might up it to like 30 a day because what I've done now is because so much of my focus is on sales, I have fewer other things to worry about, which is quite nice. So what I do is I spend 2 to 3 hours pretty much cold calling in the morning and then catch up on email, do my admin. Like, I've shifted my schedule around. So typically what I would do is wake up and ramp up in the morning. So like maybe do a workout, catch up on email, set my to-do list for the day, start knocking off tasks. Now what I do is I just wake up and I start cold calling a couple hours. And then by like 11 o'clock, I'll kind of wrap that up. Then I'll go catch up on emails, set the agenda for the rest of the day, et cetera, et cetera. And then part of that is setting up the contacts in my phone for the next day. So one big takeaway I've had from the last day or two, this is, probably the biggest improvement I've made over the last week and a half, is it's so much easier to get into a flow when the numbers are already in my contacts list. Because what I was doing the first few weeks is I would go through my list, but I'd have to manually input the number each time in between phone calls, which doesn't take a lot of time, but it kind of interrupts the flow, right? So now what I do is the night before, I spend like an hour, and it's such easy work that I can have like a YouTube video on or whatever on my second screen, and I input like 30, 40, 50 contacts into my phone. Now, there's a crap load of contacts on my phone, but anyways, that's not the end of the world.
Why? I have a solution that maybe you can use, I don't know. But especially for me when I do interviews with other countries, instead of using my phone, I mean, I typically use Zoom, but a lot of people might prefer the phone. So what I do is I just use Skype. So I just put some credit on Skype and it's super cheap. So you can actually call people from the computer using Skype on the physical phone.
Interesting. I
Yeah,
might
that's
look
quite
into
handy
that.
for me.
Yeah, I mean, the markets that
And
we're
I also
selling
have a
into,
way.
they just use WhatsApp a lot. So
Uh,
it's like pretty good conversion rate, so to speak.
mm,
Um, yeah,
yeah, I
maybe
mean, if
it's not a
if
bad
not
idea. But can you import contacts into Skype?
in Skype, I have no idea. I just copy paste the number usually.
Right. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll look into it. I mean, this system is working pretty well, and because WhatsApp is so popular in these countries, it's like pretty good conversion rate, right? I don't
Mhm.
know what the Skype number would look like. And
How
then
many how many of those 30 calls actually pick up?
it kind of depends on the day. I'd say on average, like maybe like 3 to 5 pick up the call.
Uh-huh.
So let's say it's a day where I do 30. Let's say 100, just for easy math. I'd say,
Mhm.
I'll just do by percentages. I'd say maybe like a quarter to a third. So like out of
Uh,
100, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like 20 to 40 will pick up.
mhm.
And then another like 20 to 40. So what happens if they don't pick up is then I send them a message on WhatsApp, right? So that's another reason why I kind of like it, because it's so popular for
Ooh,
texting.
cold
Um,
texting.
yeah. And then another like 20 to 40% will respond to the text. And then, another 20-ish percent never hear from. And then I'll call them a week or
Yeah.
two again later and see if it works. So that's what I've been doing so far. It's another reason why I like the WhatsApp, because people are so used to using it for chat. So for example, I converted one person today, never spoke to them. Called them, they didn't answer. Hey,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. Hey, is this blah, blah, blah. Little back and forth. Okay. Was able to schedule a demo without ever talking to them on the phone. So that's kind of cool. So anyways, that's it for the cold calling. So the goal there is to continue cold call outreach, and I'll say 30 plus per day, because now that I have a good system, the volume can be a little bit higher, which is nice. Finalize the join page on SG. So I finalized the new website. I'm still not happy with the join page. So and I might ask you for some advice too, Chris. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna say touch up and improve join page design, because I don't know. I think I probably need to add a little bit more. I think the above the fold is pretty good. Maybe a few copy improvements I could make. I just need to like sit down and review it. And then I think, kind of like yours, I think I need more info below if they want to keep scrolling, right? If they're not convinced, they want to learn more about me. So I'll say improve copy above the fold, add more sections below.
What's a bit weird right now that I'm looking at the join page is that the email field and the button are center align rather than left align like the text. That looks a bit weird.
Okay, I can fix that. That's an
That
easy
is an
fix.
easy fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you do that, just make sure that the button is not like the full width of the paragraph, because otherwise it would be huge on desktop. So just make sure that it's narrower, thinner.
Sorry, say that again?
When you move the button on the left side, just make sure that the width is not the same width of the full paragraph, because otherwise it would be huge. But you'll see
Okay.
that, like, if the button is like super wide, just
Got
keep
it.
it a bit narrower.
Okay. And then pick first. So my goal was to pick first growth strategy to test. I think I'm going to do letter growth. I don't think I want to spend money on SwapStack yet until I improve the join page. Like, I want the join page to be really good before I spend money. And then I signed up. I looked them both up a little bit. They both look really cool. Like these look like great opportunities for growth,
Yeah.
right? Letter Growth also has a cool Discord that I joined as well.
Yeah, me too. I still have to dig in, but there's a lot of stuff in there.
It seems pretty good. Like there's a lot of cool people sharing really helpful information. So I joined that, and I'm gonna give Letter Growth a try. So I got onto the platform. Now I just need to start scoping out people to do some cross promotions. So that's pretty much it for me. What I'm excited for, that's a good question. You got to prepare. Why didn't you let me know about this new segment ahead of time?
I basically just decided like 5 minutes before starting.
Yeah. What am I excited for? I'm excited to hopefully have some good demos and have them convert, right? I mean, that's the key, right, for Visto right now is we want to get more people using the platform. We have a trial. And the goal now is to get as many people to try the trial and then, hopefully as many convert to the paid as possible. So I'm really confident in our product. I think we have a great product. It's just a matter of getting it out to as many people as possible. So hopefully in the next call we have, a couple extra clients that converted to paid, and I'll be very excited.
Did you see or are you hearing any mess around the banking stuff in your sector? You're in tech.
Certainly in my sector, but not as much in my inner circle because SVB is a US bank. Thankfully, we bank in Canada. All of our funds are in Canada. Canadian banking system it's funny. It's like pretty slow and not innovative, which, as we just saw over the last 2 weeks, can actually be a really good thing, right? Like a lot of people don't love the Canadian banking sector because it's basically dominated by 5 or 6 banks that are highly regulated. So there's very little innovation, but it also means they're very stable, right? And very reliable.
It's kind of like the Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger of the banking system.
Yeah. So. And I've complained a lot. I actually like my bank, but I've complained a lot over the last few years. Oh, these banks are so slow. Even their websites suck, even though they have so much money. But what's the upside? The upside is like none of them are going under anytime soon. Yeah. So that's probably worth the lack of innovation. But yeah, I mean, especially last weekend, oh my God, all the news articles. I'm in some Slack groups that have a lot of founders that are based in the US or do business in the US or bank in the US, and they were freaking out. It seems to be that we're we're kind of back to normal in that they're making everybody whole. So I think most people will be fine in terms of getting their money or having access to their money if they choose to stay with the bank. But some people are also saying, and I don't know what you're hearing in your neck of the woods, that this could there could be a cascading effect, right?
Yeah, the contagion.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know enough about the US banking industry or economics to know if this is going to have ongoing effects. It didn't affect us because we only do business in Canada or overseas, where SVB is, I don't think, based. So anyways, what about you?
I don't know. I just heard this morning that HSBC, the huge bank in the UK, they bought the SVP's branch.
Yeah, in the
branch
UK,
for £1. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a couple days ago.
Yeah, because HSBC is one of those huge, old school, highly regulated banks, and they basically just bought this newly hipster kind of side of the banking system. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just if there's broader, effects felt, right? I don't know. It's probably too early to tell. But do you have any US clients right now?
Yeah, as far as my clients go, I didn't really actually. I've been getting more and more requests lately, so.
Oh, so I don't know. I guess their bank accounts are fine.
Yeah.
Because I think that was part of the huge concern is in the U.S. maybe not most, but a good portion of these big tech companies are B2B, right? So they all like sell to one another. So if they all go broke, they're all screwed, right? And
Yeah.
or couldn't make payroll and or whatever. So it was like hysteria for a few days, right, until they kind of figured it out. But I don't know enough to. We'll see, I guess, over the next few weeks how it plays out. But
Yeah, it's always like even if I myself I don't know anything about like banking system and everything, it's always kind of interesting to learn and try to go a bit deeper into like how these situations end up happening and how people make decisions and why are they are not able to prevent these things. It's always like interesting human psyche perspective to understand.
yeah, I think it was a combo of factors. Like number one, the financial situation in the U.S. Right, so went from a couple of years ago low interest rates, printing money, blah blah blah, and then so SVB gave out a lot of money, made not so great investment decisions with that money, and so within the last month or two, interest rates go way up, and there were some apparently big names in the US tech scene that got afraid and kind of made a big warning call, which caused a lot of US tech companies to do a bank run, aka, dozens or hundreds or I don't know, maybe thousands of tech companies to go take out all their money at the same time, which the bank didn't have. So I think that's kind of what caused it. And so there's concern over like the regulations of banks and, some people who made a big fuss and kind of caused the bank run. And if there was no bank run to begin with, maybe that never happened. So anyways, there's a whole bunch of interesting chatter, half of which I don't understand, right? Because I just don't know the finance sector well enough, the banking sector. But yeah, super interesting. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. We'll see over the next few weeks. Want to do a quick book chat before we wrap up?
Yeah. So I finished Never Finished by David Goggins.
Oh,
His
I'm
second
supposed to
book.
get that. I swear I'm not copying you, but I'm supposed to get that today in the mail. Anyways,
Nice.
don't
Yeah,
no
yeah.
spoilers, please.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Did you read the first one?
Oh yeah, I read the first one.
Yeah.
I think for those on YouTube, I can't see it. It's somewhere on this shelf behind me. It's great. I read it
Yeah.
twice. That's what motivated me to run the marathon. If it wasn't for that book,
Oh,
I may
nice.
have never ran the marathon. Yeah.
Yeah. So and if you get the audiobook, it's even better probably because it basically adds in kind of like podcast style commentaries. So there's the guy who reads the book, which asks him questions, and then he replies in between chapters. So that's really good. But yeah, really good. Probably if I can spoil one lesson, like high level, without spoiling actually anything, it's really good how he talks about the fact that even after all the shit that is done, like with the first book and all the records and everything, he started getting complacent, and then after that he wanted to go back to actually being held accountable and challenging himself even more, even at like 46 years old. So there's also the aspect of getting a bit older while still like challenging yourself. So that's probably the biggest lesson for me.
Very
So that
cool.
was good. The other book that I started reading now, it's Your Next Five Moves by Patrick Bet David, which is the guy who runs Valuetainment
Oh, wait.
on YouTube.
I gotta be writing these down for the show notes. Hold on a sec. So the
That's
first
fine,
one
I can
was
remember.
what is it? Never finished,
Never Finished. That's done.
and your next five moves.
Your Next Five Moves by Patrick Bet David.
I've been seeing them
It's a
pop
really
up a lot more on like TikTok and YouTube. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a really good. Yeah, I follow him on YouTube. He's got a really huge like YouTube channel, but this book in particular, it's a good book for like business strategy. So it goes over like building a team, anything basically business. So
Cool.
I find it really really helpful and practical as well. And I wanted to ask you, I don't remember if it was you or someone else. Did you read or start reading the book What It Takes by Steven Schwartzman?
Yeah, it's right
Did you finish it?
top left. In fact, I think I've read it twice already. Yeah, it's right. I'm trying
Okay.
to point
Yeah,
for those
because
on YouTube. Oh God, my stupid. There we go. It's
because
right up there.
because I've heard him on a podcast and then I got the book and that's next on my list. So yeah, maybe you can give me some quick feedback without spoiling or anything.
I think it's a great book. I think you should, yeah, just read it. I've read it twice. Super successful guy. Really interesting. It's kind of like another, I want to say like Bezos-esque story where like he started out as an employee and had like a successful career to begin with and then only became an entrepreneur in his like, I don't remember, 30s or 40s or something. And then built like a friggin' huge ass hedge fund.
Yeah, Blackstone.
Yeah, which is like now one of the biggest in the world. But like, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I think at the beginning he talks a lot about the struggle of even just getting that first fund off the ground, where it could have failed like 100 times. So it's really interesting, and then you also learn a lot about like different asset classes. Like he talks about when they start their real estate arm, and then they're this arm, and they're
Nice.
that. Yeah. So I think it was a great book. I think you'll like it.
Cool.
Yeah. On my
How about
end,
you?
so I finished the Everything store, and about 3 or 4 days ago, I started Amazon Unbound,
Mhm.
which are both great. I've read them both once already, a couple of years ago. And it's just so interesting to read about. I unfortunately can't really relate to it because I've never worked in a big business before. But like reading about this company, that was built from nothing, and the numbers, like now I'm at the part where they're talking about like AWS and how they were trying to hide the revenue numbers for a while. So like Google and, the other like Microsoft, the cloud providers wouldn't catch on. And then like in 2014, 2015, AWS was making so much money that like they couldn't hide it on the balance sheet anymore, or I guess the income statement. And yeah, just great books, crazy company. It's interesting how much Bezos, like the conversation about Bezos overlaps with like Jobs and Musk, where it's like incredible entrepreneur on one hand, borderline abusive personality to staff and employees on the other hand, right? So like, how do you think about that, right? Like they even have, I was just reading some quotes from like former employees, right? Like it was crazy, one of the most, productive parts of my career, but what did I get out of it? Did I really get, did I get what I deserved? All the other employees that put in so much time and blah, 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 and all they get is overworked and, blah, blah, blah. So the way they treat factory workers, is that fair?
Yeah.
They print so much money, but they can't put AC in the factories or whatever. So
I
it's
think
an interesting, yeah.
yeah, I think it speaks to a big idea that like even like it doesn't really matter what your personality is in business. I think this quote from the guy Phil Stutz, it's a psychotherapist. There's a Netflix documentary about him basically. And he's got this quote, he's got his whole method, psychotherapeutic method, and one of his principle is that the only thing that matter and they're always gonna be there are pain, uncertainty, and constant work. When you know those three things are always gonna be there, your personality doesn't really matter as long as you can deal with those three. And if you think about it, if you listen to those stories, all of these guys are able to deal with pain, with the uncertainty, and with the constant work that their
Right,
businesses
but
require.
my argument here is that they are mostly the cause of it, right? Like you can run a company and not work people as hard as they did or do, right? So like,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, people can always quit, right?
Sometimes that's branding. So sometimes that can also be branding
Well, but
and
I
being
think about it as
polarizing.
like I think one of the key questions is, would Amazon be the company it is today if Bezos was not like that? And the answer is probably no, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the way I think about it is it right or wrong? I don't know. It's probably not wrong. It's probably not right, but any of those employees could quit at any time they want, right? There's a different discussion to be had there, but is that the level of intensity and borderline insanity that's required to build a company of that size?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Amazon, Apple, what was the third one? Tesla, SpaceX. Like if you don't have their level of intensity and lack of empathy for other people, you're pushing them to crazy length, probably not paying them what they deserve. Can you get to that level? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. So then I kind of think to myself, and now we're getting a little esoteric, like I'm probably never going to build an Amazon. Most of us won't. But like I don't know if I have that level of borderline insanity to push people like that and get a company to that size, right? If that's what it takes. And that's okay.
Yeah, but
that's okay.
What's your vision? Is your vision to build a next Amazon?
No, I don't want $1 billion company anyways. It sounds like too much work, too much stress.
So you kind of already answer yourself. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why I'm fine with it, right? That's why I'm fine with it. But I think it's an interesting question, right? Which is, is that level of kind of insanity required to get that big?
Oh, there's a book that I'm super excited to dive into. Let me find it because it has to do with this stuff. I saved it on Amazon.
It'll be interesting too for you to read Schwartzman, because it seems like I could take him as an example and say he's built like a multi-billion dollar hedge fund and they make eons of money. But people seem to like him a little. His staff seem to like him a little bit more, right? Like he doesn't drive people as insane. But they probably still all work crazy hours, right? So maybe the hours are required, but like the lack of empathy and borderline taking advantage of employees is probably not required. I don't know.
You have to filter. But yeah, these two books speak to this exact topic. So one is called A First-Rate Madness: Uncovering the Links Between Leadership and Mental Illness.
Oh wow.
And the other one is called The Hypomanic Edge: The Link Between a Little Craziness and a Lot of Success in America.
How do you, is it HYPO manic, MANIC? The Hypomanic Edge?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, I'm saving those for
this
the show notes.
This one was recommended in the Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. The other one I just stumbled on it on Amazon, which is gonna be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll be interested to hear about that. Just writing these down. Amazon Unbound. Okay, cool. Frig, we could do an episode, we could do a podcast just talking about business books every week and probably do 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, anyways.
The Entrepreneur Book Club.
All right, so all these will be in the show notes. I'll update our goals. I'll update the books and stuff that we recommended. Chris, anything else before we head out?
Nope. The only thing to say is let's grind it out, man.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, like the video. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them. Any questions, we're happy to answer questions in future episodes. We go live every second Friday morning. Friday morning Eastern time. So check out the Solopreneur Grind YouTube channel to catch us there. Or if you just want to listen, stick us into your ears, then thank you for that. Make sure to give a rating, review on whichever podcast platform you listen to us on. It actually does quite help. And that's it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next episode.
See you.
All